So I wasn't wanting to make this video, but I felt like what I'm about to talk about was something that I was like probably one of the most public parts of my life. And so I felt like addressing it in this video. If you could tell by the title or the thumbnail, yeah, I shut down my business. I shut down a clothing brand that I started about 3 years ago. It was called Under Earth. I haven't had a ton of time to process it, so you guys are kind of getting like my raw thoughts and emotions and things like that. But it was definitely hard. I shut down the LLC. It was definitely a hard thing for me to do. I had kept up a lot of, I had set up a lot of expectation for it. It was definitely one of those things that, I dreamed with God about, dreamed with myself about, dreamed with friends and family about. And I gave it my all. I gave it my all for 3 years. And as time went on, it was starting to become just more and more unsustainable for my current life. Around year two, I want to say, of Under Earth, I got married and life changed, paces changed. But to be honest, I think I just had a little bit of trouble getting more awareness for the brand. Just typical like entrepreneurial problems, I guess. But I think my mental capacity wasn't really there to upkeep with it as much as I would have liked for it to. So, and this is just kind of me being a little transparent. And honestly, this video, as much as it is for people that know me and have already known the brand, I want this video to be for the entrepreneur that doesn't know me, or maybe doesn't even really know anything about me, Under Earth, whatever the case. And I kind of want this video to be for you. So I guess to start, I started this brand 3 years ago. Like I said, it was definitely birthed out of a season of confusion, of pain. I kind of The meaning of Under Earth was life below the surface, when the dirt of life comes and just buries you alive, whether that's through loss, grief, depression, anxiety, whatever it is, right? I compared that to the dirt of life, and it was the dying of the seed in the ground, that tension season, that waiting season that no one sees but you and God. And the whole brand revolved and focused around that tension season, because I feel like it's something Christians don't talk about. And that's something that I really wanted to emphasize with the brand, because I know this is something that you talk about only when you're in the season. But I think once people are out of the season, they just forget. I think Christians forget how hard of like I think Christians forget how hard of a season God has brought them out of. And so we go through a struggle, we go through a financial struggle, we go through a health problem, and we may remember it for the few months afterwards. But then some years go by, maybe even some months go by, and it's like we forget what God has brought us out of. Under Earth served to remind us, remind me, remind the customers of that season and how much God brings growth out of that season. How that's the most important season of our lives, when God is still building roots. Because the roots are what sustain you, right? So Under Earth served to give that message. I'll be honest, I was interested to see that not a lot of Christians like to even talk about that stage. We love to talk about the highs, the mountaintops, even like the God encounters, the secret place encounters. And after starting Under Earth, I realized a lot of Christians didn't like actually talking about the pain or the things that God brought them out of in that sense, right? I don't know. I guess the default is to pretend it's not happening. And I think when we do that, we actually rob people of the power behind testimony. And so my goal was really to kind of let Under Earth be a brand that shared that testimony just by the garments. So I don't know. For this, for those who don't know me, I guess I started to realize that maybe those believers who resonated with the meaning of the brand, but there wasn't, and like, I didn't see a lot of responsive believers that wanted to be honest about that season in life. So that was really eye opening for me. But I dissolved the LLC about 2 nights ago, and like I said, it was a really hard thing for me to do. Like I said, it was something that I dreamt of. Or really believed in. I invested a lot into the brand, and I kind of, like I said, to serve the purpose for this video would be to also serve people who don't know me and who are also chasing dreams. And maybe you're someone who you dreamt of something with God, and maybe you even did something that you believe God was telling you to do, and it didn't work out the way you thought. And this is also, again, like, this is something that believers don't like talking about. I don't know why we like to avoid this type of tension. And I think it just robs the body of true power of a testimony when things don't work out. What happens when things don't work out? And this isn't, I mean, this is coming from somebody who, I'm not just talking about my business that didn't work out the way I thought it was. In 2021, I lost my father to COVID in November, and we prayed. We prayed a lot. He was in the hospital for about 3 months. We had so many people praying. I was praying. My family was praying. Church families, multiple church families were praying that we know. For 3 months, we fasted. We prayed. And we were saying, what we believed, the right scriptures, right? Speaking the right scriptures over his life, saying all the words we knew how to do, and he didn't make it out. And my dad passed away. And I've wrestled with God. I've wrestled with God on those things. And I think this business is just one of those other things I have had to wrestle with God. And so, but I don't know. Christians, believers do not like to talk about that type of tension. Like, God is still good, but even when things don't work out, we don't like talking about that. And perhaps maybe that's a reason why it was hard for Under Earth to kind of break through that surface, right? Because there's not a lot of honest believers, if we're being honest, ironically, right? I'm so grateful for the people that really did believe in the brand, that supported the brand. Even if you just shared a post from it. And I also don't want this video to sound like I'm speaking from any type of bitterness or anything like that. But I did want this to be kind of like a raw video because, like I said, this was such a public part of my life. Like, if anyone knew me personally, they knew I had this clothing brand. But honestly, guys, I'm okay. Like, I'm okay that it didn't work out. I was willing to give this up. I was willing to lay this business down at the feet of Jesus. And what he wants to do with it in the future, if he does or doesn't want to do anything with it, I'm okay. And I'm glad for the years that I had Under Earth. I'm glad for the things that I've learned, the people that it was able to impact. But I want to speak to somebody who may be going through maybe something similar, or you're almost there, or you're trying to avoid that, right? Listen to the Lord, whatever he wants to do through you and with you. Listen to his voice, even if it's laying something down. And I know the emotions that come with that, right? Like, there's even a sense of like embarrassment, like, I'm doing this, there's so much on the line. You almost like you don't want to fail. Because honestly, that like that can be embarrassing, right? Or that can feel a little humiliating. And I just want to encourage you. Sometimes things don't work out, and that's okay. I think you would much rather know that you tried something than to have never tried at all. It takes courage to start something. It takes courage to put yourself out there, and just do something that you love. Do something with so much effort and passion and desire and dreams, right? It takes courage. So I just want to honor whoever I'm speaking to now. I want to honor your courage for continue on doing what you want to do, doing like whether it's music or maybe it is another business, a vlog, anything, right? Starting any type of business, whatever that is. I want to encourage you, keep going. But I also want to encourage the people who may be resonating with a little bit with what I'm saying. It's okay if it doesn't work out. You know, you tried, you did your best, and the Lord's not disappointed in you. And if I'm speaking to the right people, you'll catch this, right? God's not disappointed in you, and it's okay for things to fail. And if we don't know why, we don't know why. I wouldn't try putting a label on it too soon, right? I think we understand life looking backwards, and I think one day you'll look backwards and see maybe what it was for a purpose. Maybe God was protecting you from something, right? Honestly, we just don't know. At least right now, in the middle of it, and whoever I'm speaking to, I know I'm speaking to somebody. And I also want to say this as an encouragement, right? There's guys. I mean, I know artists. I know people who are starting other businesses as well, who have the most pure hearts, who have some real talent, real passion, real conviction from the Lord. My friend Bryson, he might be even watching this. He's an artist, and I understand. Like I've been able to see him kind of deal with similar things that I dealt with. Right? There's an aspect of you want to make real art for the Lord with the Lord and display that for people to see if they want to see it. Right? But then there's an aspect that a lot of believers don't want to admit, and that's that they're hidden. And I had felt hidden a lot, and even still, like there's an aspect of my life that is still hidden, and it's hidden with God, and that was a big reason why I started Under Earth to relate to those people who also feel hidden. And that's something that a lot of believers don't like to admit, that they're hidden. And I don't know why either. I think it's a beautiful thing to be hidden with the Lord. I would rather be hidden with the Lord than being elevated in public and God's not with me and his presence isn't there with me. I would much rather be somewhere stored away with God, being in his presence, being at his side, because that's success. Being elevated in the public eye and his presence is not with me. I wouldn't want that. I couldn't have that. But back to my friend Bryson, he's one of those artists. He's one of those artists that he has some serious talent, serious conviction. His heart is there. I've seen his heart behind the scenes, and he loves what he does. And it's that same thing, right? It's like you want to make something good. You want to make something with the Lord, and you are. And there's that small like feeling like, man, I wish people would like there is still some that human nature, right, for wanting at least some type of validation or some type of recognition, right? Like, man, like your work, and if this isn't you, it doesn't apply to you. So you may think like, oh, like this is such a superficial thing, right? But if you're who I'm talking to, you'll definitely understand this. You're working hard day and night, endlessly. I mean, weekend after weekend, day after day. You're planning whatever it is. If it's music, it's a business, whatever it is. If it's film, if it's any type of form of art, whatever it is, and you're working tirelessly, and you're just like, man, God, when are you gonna like do something about this, or when are you gonna help? When are you gonna come in and get this off its feet? And that's a thing that I believe a lot of Christians deal with, because it's being hidden. you're hidden with the Lord, and he has I know he doesn't waste a season. I know he's there with you in the low and the high, even if you don't want to admit that you're in a low season. I trust me, a lot of Christians don't like to admit that they're in a low hidden season. And so they want to live in la la land that, oh no, everything's fine. And I'm on a mountaintop and, I'm just dancing with Jesus. And honestly, you're probably trying to dance with Jesus and he's just probably trying to sit and grieve with you. And we've left God. We've left God in the valley, trying to climb up a mountain, trying to seek for the mountaintop. And he's in the valley waiting for you. He's not going to let you skip that season. And so maybe that's for somebody else. Maybe this really is time for you to just stop running from the tension and sit in it with the Lord. But honestly, my heart goes out to many artists, many, whatever you are, a producer, business owners who you've been working, digging and digging and digging. And I know this is crazy to hear from me, but there is a harvest coming. There is a harvest coming. There's a scripture that speaks on, we will reap in due season if we do not give up. And so let that be an encouragement to somebody else out there. Don't give up. And I know it sounds weird saying that because it seemingly looks like I gave up. Guys, I gave up something to the Lord. I didn't give up, if that makes sense. I gave something to him. I sacrificed. I laid something at his feet because I felt like that's what I needed to do. And so this isn't a video of like, oh, like pity, like, oh, feel bad for me. This is a video just honestly just out of transparency because, like I said, this has been such a public part of my life. But I also just wanted to make this to encourage anybody who may be either going through the same thing, headed in that direction, or you're on the other side of it. And by the other side, I mean like you just went through it. I want to encourage whoever that is, keep going, keep seeking the Lord's face. Don't grow bitter at the Lord. I know that might be hard, but wrestle with him. Stay in that tension. That's what Under Earth was. That's what Under Earth's its message was. And so whether I'll pick something up in the future, I don't know, but I'm not touching it unless, and this is probably another reason I'm making this is for accountability. I'm not touching it unless the Lord wants it again, or if the Lord wants something else from me. I don't want to move, and let this be an encouragement to someone, don't move unless the Lord tells you to, right? Or you feel that tug. And I'm speaking to specific people. So if you're not this person, you're probably not watching this, or you're not understanding what I'm saying. But this is for a certain tribe of people, and you guys know who I'm talking about. If it's you, so continue dreaming with the Lord. And if right now your heart is sick, if you feel like you're drained of hope, there's a proverb that I love referencing, and I know a lot of believers don't. Like, again, this isn't for vanilla Christians, okay? If you're all about cookies, life's cookies and cream, and you're never gonna go through something bad, you're a vanilla Christian. I'm sorry. But there's a proverb, I believe, that says, "Hope delayed, it makes the heart sick." And maybe I'm talking to some people who you have a lot of hope. There's a lot of dreams in you, and you've been hoping and hoping and dreaming and dreaming. And over time, your heart has just been getting a little more weary, a little more sick. And so stay wrestling in that season. But also, I want to give you something for when that season comes to an end. Because every season is temporary. And this is something that Under Earth, the brand, talked about a lot. Every season is temporary. You'll know your heart is coming back to health when it begins to dream again. And so look out for that, right? If right now is not the season for you to be dreaming and hoping or not, I shouldn't say hoping, but if this isn't the season for you to be dreaming and dreaming and dreaming, that's okay. Sit in that. Wrestle with God in that tension. And when it's time, whenever the Lord has patiently, slowly worked in your heart and you start noticing, I'm dreaming again. you'll know you went through that whole process to get there with the Lord. But stay at his side. But like I said, guys, I closed the LLC. I took down the website. I haven't taken down the social media. If you don't know the brand and you still kind of want to see what I was even talking about, you can go to our Instagram handle. It's under.earth. So under is UNDR dot and then earth spelled normally. So you can take a look at what I was talking about. I think that's really the only place you'll be able to see anything. Like I said, the website's taken down. Of course, my portfolio, which I'll link all that in the description. This is technically like my third vlog, so it's like kind of a different tone from all my other vlogs if you know them. But yeah, like I said, guys, nothing of this video is scripted. I'm sure I'll cut out like a few little details that were probably just me rambling. But I'm not reading a script or anything. This is just me just kind of processing with you. But hey, if you made it to the end of this video, thank you for watching. It was a video I did not want to make, but I feel like I needed to, like I've said before. It's definitely a hard video to make, and it was a hard thing to do. But I hope this frees somebody. I hope this is liberating to somebody watching and listening. I hope that it's reaching the right people. So if you're listening to this, if you're watching this, and you feel like it's speaking to you, it is speaking to you. All right, don't question that. Like, even if everything I said wasn't to a T your situation, but there's something speaking to you about the video, like, don't ignore that, right? Let the Lord minister that to you. And if it has sparked some things in you, bring that to the Lord, so. But yeah, guys, thank you for making it through this video. I'm sure I'm kind of announcing the end of Under Earth like this. I haven't really told more than 5 people in my life. So this is kind of me telling everybody, like, surprise. But yeah, guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you whenever I make another video. I got a lot going on, but yeah, later.